That's all I know.
Wow, wow,
I don't know. Yeah, for some reason, like whenever you try to hum this theme to Otherworld, people think that it's the Peter Gunn theme. Episode 4. This one is Rock and Roll Suicide is the name of this episode, which would never fly today as a title. This one, they end up in a province where they don't have clowns or rock and roll. And you find out that the two kids, this is very centered around the children. They are talented musicians who know a bunch of classic rock songs, apparently, and they become the quote unquote writers of these classic songs from the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. And because no one in this world has ever heard this music before, it takes off, and basically they recreate the rise of rock in the 60s in the United States. And what ends up happening is everybody reacts to it the same way that rock and roll was reacted to here, where record companies didn't want anything to do with it. The radio and television didn't want anything to do with it. It was considered to be anti-culture. And then they have a big concert, and who shows up at the big concert? But Kroll. He shows up, and they end up having to run off so that they don't get caught by him. So there's your basic rundown of what happens in the episode.
Except you skipped like all of the success. It went straight from nobody wanted to have them, then all of a sudden they're at a big concert.
Yeah. Well, like I said that I covers like how rock and roll raised and I came about in the 50s and the 60s, where it was like it was anti-culture, and the older people, they wanted nothing to do with it, but the young people were completely into it. All right, Sarah, is that better?
Yeah. You just didn't cover the people who were into it part.
Yeah. So go ahead, Matt. What is your thoughts, your review of this?
Actually, it was good. It was pretty cool. The production value was, actually put a lot of effort into it. It's pretty cool. I liked it. It was yeah, it had a lot of 80s, mid 80s stuff, but it was actually put a lot more work into it than the usual 80s show. And it didn't have the tension, and it just had seriously, the one guy you send there is the one guy that knows who they are. Other than that, it's pretty cool.
That was kind of like foreshadowed, though. Like, I'm gonna send somebody, and I'm like, oh, we know who you're sending.
Yeah, obviously.
The audience knows right away as soon as the guy said that who it's gonna be.
Yeah,
I love that. Out of all the adults, every adult other than the record producer and Kroll hated rock and roll. Kroll liked it. I love that.
Yeah, he's gonna be like, "I'll get you kids next week" or whatever. But it's like, but you Ross.
And he goes like, "Wow, this is actually pretty good. I have a lot of pretty girls around here." Like, Kroll, how old are you, man?
I'll take him to that Pleasure Island from last week.
I know he didn't show up last week. There was no Kroll last week.
Yeah,
Kroll is back. Is he Commander Kroll? Is that what he is?
Yeah, sounds like it. Yeah,
Commander Kroll. So, Mike, is it me or who's next? Me or you?
I'll go next. I'm going to say that this was the worst episode and the best episode at the same time.
There we go.
Yeah,
I thought it was just maybe in the 80s it wasn't as cheesy, quote unquote cringy. I don't really like the word cringy, but I think that actually fits this one. And I thought, overall it was just a dumb idea, except the part where they're talking about they're not the writers of the song. And that actually opens a massive question. If this were you and you appeared in this different world where groups like, I got to bring up again, Candlebox or whatever don't actually exist, and their songs, would you financially benefit off them because you technically now become the writer of the song, even though you're not the writer of the song?
So basically, if you were put in this position where all of a sudden, like maybe you found an alternate dimension like they did, where all of a sudden like the and you're a talented musician, and say you were a gigantic Beatles fan, like these kids apparently were, and yeah, you end up in this. Would you do this? Would if you knew how to play every single Beatles song? Would you quote unquote be the writer of the Beatles in this other dimension and get the money and so everything else that goes with it? And
because you can't do them as covers because these songs don't exist.
yeah,
People understand that.
writing them, yeah, you'd be the author of these songs that are technically not yours because Paul McCartney wrote it.
And the problem now is, how dishonest is it? Because yeah, it's dishonest. It's not your song, but it never existed anyway there.
It's like the whole logic when you watch Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, and they needed to get that clear plastic created. So to go to that shop and Scotty shows the guy the formula and he's like, well, how do I know he's not the guy that created it?
Yeah.
It's the same paradox, except that time's not involved in this, but it's a very similar paradox to that. Yeah. Oh, this is a moral paradox, though. Yeah. Like them creating the song, it's not going to stop the song from existing. That's where that would be a normal paradox. But this one here is like, morally, are they doing the right thing? If this family, are they the Sterling family? Is that the original name?
Yeah, Sterling's family.
Yeah. Okay. So like, if the Sterling family, if this show continued on and they finally made the leap back home, and they and Trace and what's the daughter's name?
Gina.
Gina. So if Gina and Trace, that's right, Gina. If Gina and Trace were church kids and they were going to go and talk to their pastor, or they're going to the Catholic church and they had to go to confession, would they have to confess that they stole someone else's music?
Let me take it a step further, because let's take a big song. Let's take like Back in Black. You guys both know Back in Black.
Yes, everybody in the world knows Back in Black.
Exactly. That's why I'm going to use it. They go and play that song. Now, they didn't write it, but they now created it over there. So by them doing something that you can look at as being dishonest, they have actually promoted that music and passed it to another group of people that can now actually experience that song. Whereas if they said, we shouldn't do this because this isn't our music, those people will never experience that song at all.
Well, it's like people in North Korea, they think that the great leader created hamburgers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's the guy.
I mean, that you can prove. I mean, that you can prove as being false. But this you won't be able to. And there's no way that song would ever get over to that side of the universe without doing something like this that would be dishonest.
Now, here's the point. They mentioned the word "Hey Jude" in there when they're talking about different songs. I think it was either "Hey Jude" or "Let It Be." Why? No, yeah, I know that was hilarious.
That was one of them. I'm like,
yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Change the name of the song.
Yes, but the point I was going to make is that one of those two songs, Paul McCartney said the song came to him fully developed in a dream, complete. That means they could say that. They could say, this came to me like I didn't even write it. It just came to me.
Yeah, true. That's true.
So
they did all alter lyrics, because there's a point where they were doing, I think it was a Beatles song, and it named all the Beatles, and they're like, you can't do that. You can't say that because it's not going to make sense. So yes,
I think if they started like referencing like some character that like I created for a story, as if you were supposed to know who the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Like the day rock and roll died or something. It's like rock and roll is just starting over there.
Yeah. You're. I mean, I guess for the home audience, that's very nice of you, but yeah. Mike, are you done?
I'm done. Yeah.
Okay, I agree with you that this is probably one of the best and worst episodes at the same time. It's the worst because I can see why this show got canceled just from this episode. Like this is jumping the shark and then hooking the shark. But at the same time, I think the girl's attractive. Jonah Lee, finally to have an episode where she's getting like kind of like the spotlight here. And then Trace, he already got his spotlight episode, so a second one for him. The whole thing with Hal dressing up as a clown was ridiculous. Is like they don't have clowns in this universe. Why are you dressed as a clown to begin with?
Yeah.
like, you guys just got here. How long ago how long have you been
Better
here?
question. They don't have clowns in this universe. How did you dress as a clown then?
How
Where did you get the outfit?
would you get your out? Exactly. Also,
Mm.
there's another thing. How much time has passed because your wife has been working at this place so long that you feel comfortable showing up there and volunteering?
Mm-hmm.
Unless, like, you just volunteer the first time, like, the first day your wife works anywhere? Who does that?
Well, maybe it's like the first episode where it's mandatory that they volunteer.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it might have said something like that.
Okay, well, then that's a different story, but I'm like,
Mm.
it just there's these holes that are appearing. Like, yeah, the whole clown thing, first of all, is a gigantic hole. The only thing that, like, everything's covered by the crystal.
Mm-hmm.
But the crystal in that first episode, otherwise, a lot of this stuff would never have happened. It never would be able. The Sterling family would never be able to do any of this stuff. Their portrayal of how rock and roll was handled when it first came around, I thought this was more of a the writers kind of like giving their side and what they thought of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And because you see, like, the parents are complaining, but the kids are into it, and some of the adults do get it. Like, well, I thought it was funny that Kroll was one of the only people who was an adult who liked it. I thought that was hilarious. Oh, like, the one guy who hates these people likes their music. It was great to bring Kroll back because he wasn't there last week, and he's kind of like the one thing that's kind of like the string that's kind of holding these episodes together in a lot of respects. It really does feel like, it's an anthology, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if that's the case, then I don't know. But then you see this stuff here where it's just some of the stuff is so ridiculous. Like, I don't know. This episode and the episode from last week, I can start seeing why somebody up in the management over at CBS was starting to think, well, maybe this isn't working.
No, the only reason why they ever cancel thing is viewers money. They didn't hype it well enough. Things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't a high budget thing to begin with. They reuse locations. It's not like they're going super duper with the high tech stuff. It's not for a sci-fi series. Other than the presence, the presence, the premise is the word I'm looking for. Other than the premise, there's not a lot of sci-fi in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I have to learn how to use their entertainment machine, and their entertainment machine just ends up being like a cable box. It's like, and the TV shows are the same. They're not showing a lot of lasers. Like, right now, I'm watching a scene where he meets the girl who ends up becoming, like, or Trace meets the girl that ends up using him.
Yeah.
Talking,
Yeah.
and
Ways.
all they're doing is practicing how to twirl their sticks, which is not very sci-fi, you know. And now they got Gina walking down the hallway, and she's in her school uniform, and they got pieces of paper just like everybody else would in 1985. Not very sci-fi, but that's because the show, I think, ran on a shoestring budget from the looks of it. Also, all the people who were in it, have you seen them in anything else?
I can't remember.
Yes.
I researched Jonah Lee to see if she was in anything else, and she was in a few other things, but she'd never starred in any other show.
The special guest, yes.
Yeah, she's been cast and stuff like that, but she's never been like that. She's a star. Like, she's one of the main cast members here. She's never been a main cast member on any other show. She did a handful of movies, but nothing really big. And the other people, I haven't seen anybody else where I'm like, oh, look, it's Ernest Borgnine or whatever. I haven't seen anybody.
Well, I want to say I still would classify this science fiction, even though you don't have lasers and futuristic stuff, because it's really taking what is the normal objects of that day and putting a twist on it to how a different group of people basically use those or treat those and stuff like that. So I think in that way it does become a science fiction because it becomes a study of doing things a different way in a fake environment. Mm-hmm. So I think it's still classified as science fiction. The problem is it doesn't matter how low the budget is for it. It matters the viewers.
Yeah. And if they did low budget, like Sliders is insanely low budget. Mm-hmm. Like, they reused, like, they would just, instead of, they didn't even want to show the portal. In order for them to get around the portal, there's literally episodes where they just shine a blue light up against the wall and as if the camera is on the same angle that the portal's coming from, so you don't see it.
Well, you got to understand this show was probably, if I remember, was probably aired like around Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So
like the Otherworld's very similar in a lot of ways to Sliders
Mhm.
or Quantum Leap. It's literally that idea. Every week is an anthology. They're somewhere, they're in a different dimension or a different point in time or a different whatever, and they're always trying to get home.
yeah,
And that's what, and then that's Sliders and Quantum Leap. That's always that's your driving force to get home.
yeah. I don't remember when Quantum Leap started, but it was probably around the same time as Otherworld. Like, do you know?
You need to look at
Quantum Leap started in 1989.
generic religion that's supposed to be hating the kids that doesn't want to offend anybody. The AI religion.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Oh, what is up with the transitions?
What transition? What do you mean?
In this episode, they're using all these funky transitions that I've never seen them use before. It's almost like they have a new editor, and the editor can't wait to show you his cool transition.
Do you want them to like spin in a circle or something?
Well, there was one that like they're doing it where it starts off as a circle and it zooms out like you're watching a Bond movie, and then there's another one where like the picture distorts and all of a sudden it's part of like the background and the next scene or something like that. And they're cool effects.
Yeah, I kind of want.
They didn't show up in the last 3 episodes. Why are they in this one? Why is this one special?
I think I might have seen a cool transition or two, but yeah, I know if it was that different, I probably would have caught it because that's all I do all day long.
Well, I and then yeah, because I try not to go too fancy with my transitions because like then all of a sudden you're like looking at the transition. That's like when we were talking about what was that movie that Martin Scorsese did, The Departed? There was a time when they actually did a transition in that where it was really for no reason. And I'm like, why are they even doing this? It's such a waste of my time as a viewer. Wait for this transition to work.
There's usually a reason, like in Star Wars, they did these old school transitions to give you
Well,
a
that's
feel.
different. That's part of the charm of Star Wars. You're expecting the fates. That's how they did everything. The fates, the swipes. But when they do it, when you weren't doing it before, I'd start to notice it because I'm like, well, you can see when you watch an editor enough times, with anything, you get to see their style, and you can change you can tell when they change editors because the style changes up. And in this episode, they changed editors, and I could tell.
Yeah, give it props because I didn't catch that.
Yeah, they're using different transitions than they've used before. It's more every single one of them they're using different transitions. And it's like I don't understand why, and it must be because either they got a new editor or the editor's getting bored and he just
Consistently different, like the different sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. Consistently different, like the different what do they call them?
maybe the editor's a genius and he's like every episode I'm gonna do this separately, and like, dude, that's not gonna last for long because
Matt's onto something. No, Matt's onto something right there.
Different provinces.
Each province has a different style of transition, and they have to follow that law of transition.
then I do like it. Okay, if that's the way, if we watch it next week and it's a totally different way of editing, then okay, I'm like, okay, then this guy's a genius and he's doing this purposely. But it takes a lot to do your stuff differently. I like it because Matt, I'm an editor. You know, me and Matt are both editors. And like Matt, if someone went and said, "I wanted you to change your style up," like you can, but it's not your style. And so it's going to take you, maybe it'll take you a bit to adapt to a new way, or it just doesn't work. Like I did my other podcast, we did a live recording and I recorded the video, and it was my first time ever editing that way, because we don't do video other than like, we're going to do like video with clips of the TV show, but we don't do like a video of us talking. I've never, it's a new way of doing it.
I purposely try to get different styles like all the time for different projects, so it feels distinctly different. Yeah.
Yeah, and it helps because like I get bored at work because every week it's always the same thing, and I always style it the same way. And then like sometimes like it's nice to work on a different project, like working on videos for us here on the podcast allows me to change up and sometimes use different styles, especially like sometimes I'll change it up for whatever movie we're doing. I'll make it slightly different or whatever. But anyways, I'm babbling on.
Mike had something cool to talk about.
Yes, Mike. Well, that was an idea that I had.
But yeah, that's Ben's idea.
Okay.
Was for you guys, if you wanted to, well, this part where they show Trace playing the guitar.
Yeah, let's
Since he
talk
play,
about that.
is he playing what is supposed? Is he playing what we're hearing? Like if after he's played those chords, would it sound like the song that they're trying to do?
Let me go ahead and start here. And I'm gonna have because Mask would be more technical than I am on this, but there's some things I want to say. So, is he playing what we're seeing now? Problem is, one thing we're looking at is it's not high quality. The quality is not that great. I will say this though: is he playing it? I saw scenes where there were chord changes he didn't change. I saw scenes where he did chord changes, but the song didn't change. And I also want to specify very hard to play and sing at the same time.
Oh yeah,
especially some of those guitar parts that were being played. Because you got to keep in mind they're professional musicians that are actually writing those guitar parts. And usually it's going to be just the guitarists playing by themselves. So is he playing? It didn't look like it. Is he playing what they're playing? It didn't look like it. But he is playing actual chords. I saw him doing bar chords.
That's what it was. He was actually playing bar chords. So the actor, I think he might actually know guitar.
That's what I was going to get at. Is that he has to be somewhat familiar with the instrument because he changes at one point, I think, from a C major to a G major chord, which they're basic chords. But unless you're familiar, unless you've been practicing for enough time, your fingers aren't going to be comfortable with that transition. So it's not going to come off as smooth as he did. So it's not something he's just, okay, you're an actor, pretend like you're playing. He has somewhat of knowledge and practice in the instrument. Now let's talk about the character of Gina, because she was the drummer, which she actually has a knowledge in drums as well too. But it's not an elaborate one, or it's not, or at least what we can see, it's not an elaborate one, because whenever they did like a big drum fill, I think they cut back to Trace playing guitar or somewhere else or somewhere in the crowd. But I could tell she does know how to use a hi-hat. She does know how to use a snare. I couldn't see her feet up, except for like there was like one scene where you could see her feet, but then you couldn't see her hands. So you couldn't really tell, but she has enough knowledge to make a standard beat and to make it look like it's accurate on the beat. I didn't double check every single strike of it that she did, but it was enough to be convincing that she has a knowledge of it. The bassist, from what I saw, no.
No, I've been playing this while we've been talking. In fact, if we go any longer, I'm going to make it to the end of the episode. About the part now where they're writing that song and the dad and Hal gets their letter saying that they got expelled from school. And if I remember correctly, he's actually playing, and it doesn't sound horrible. So yeah, the actor who plays Trace is trained. He is a guitar player.
Mm. What was weird, and I don't know why they did it, was there was a scene in the concert where Gina was playing drums and then she went to sing and they had another drummer swap in. And I thought at that point, well, why do you want to do that and continue that? I can understand her starting with it, but why do you continue that? Because that would just be awkward at a real concert for someone to do that.
I think bands do that though. Like if you ever like Phil Collins,
like Sheila E. Yeah.
But in the very middle of a song,
yeah, a singer that can play drums would do that sometimes, like a big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, are you done, Mike?
I'm done. So go for it, Matt.
Okay. First of all, he is playing usually the chords. Some of the elements might be a little off. Some of the little extra decorations and stuff. Somebody else is probably playing the recording, but he's actually playing the chords. He's playing like a real guitarist. Obviously, he can play. He plays the solo. You see a moment where he's hammering on. He's doing it right like the solo. Like he was playing that same solo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he was hammering on, and now Gina playing the drums is tough because some of the scenes it was a little off sync, but she was hitting it at the right kind of beat. She was basically, they were probably playing the song not as well as what you heard, but they were probably playing the song when they were recording it. Because here's the interesting part, that's them singing.
Tony O'Dell plays Trace. So we're giving it up for Tony O'Dell, who apparently is a actual musician, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, there was one thing I wanted to mention is that his strumming. He was basically strumming on
Oh my lord. This guy, Tony O'Dell, he is from the Karate Kid and Cobra Kai.
No.
Okay. So he might be the most successful person from the show.
Yeah.
So what I was saying was his strumming he was strumming basically down on the beat and then up on the upbeats.
Oh yeah. They were off sometimes. The sync. The sync was off.
Yeah, exactly. And that's that doesn't surprise me because of the fact that you're still he's got to be in character. He's got to think that he's also in character while he's doing all this. So there's going to be a whole bunch that's going through his mind and everything while he's doing these scenes. So that's okay. I mean, I think it's convincing enough, but you're actually saying that he was basically playing the song minus the added garnishment to it, let's say.
Basically, it could have been them, but they probably replaced them with professional musicians in the instruments. But the sync was off, so they could have been playing perfectly on beat the whole time. And because I noticed you hear the drums when she's not hitting it, but it's at the right rate.
But that could also be the video itself.
Exactly.
On YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. It could be that too, but not. I think because I would have noticed with the lip syncing being off, so it wasn't YouTube. It was the editing.
Oh, okay. But how could it wait? So if the lip syncing is off, or lip syncing is on, but the rhythm is off.
Only sometimes, a few little bits sometimes.
Okay, so but that would then go back to the actor basically being off at that point.
No, I'm saying that it was probably on beat, and it was just they didn't sync up all of the times.
Okay, gotcha. So overall, yeah, they were doing a really good job of playing the music,
and the music sounds good. Their singing sounds awesome.
I think this is the episode I've had the most fun watching. It's just the whole thing's a mess. This is according to we were ragging at ChatGPT in the main show. According to ChatGPT, and I kind of agree with this episode might be the reason why we've never seen this released anywhere. Because the music rights, yeah. Well. So this one episode might be the Achilles heel of why you can't buy this on DVD. Not officially. You could buy a shitty version we're watching on DVD. You can't watch real rights from CBS.
From what I've inferred from old TV shows and rights on Quantum Leap, they had an episode where they played Georgia on My Mind, and it was like a critical, awesome, meaningful scene where they replaced it with a different song on the DVDs, and everybody was mad because the recording itself, I think, might be more costly, the actual recording, but if they have them cover it, it saves them a lot of money. So that may or may not have been 100% of the issue. Covers
money, like the music rights are like the absolute worst.
Yeah. And especially the original recordings, but those are all covers. So
there's a lot of shows that when they get re-released and they get the HD treatment, especially like Beatles and because every time you re-release it in any form, you have to redo all the rights. And shows like Quantum Leap or Otherworld, since that's the show we're covering, they never thought that people would be buying DVD box sets of seasons. That was never a thought in their head. So they never had they got the rights for the one time when it was airing on CBS, and for any future broadcast. And a broadcast does not count you watching it at home on your DVD player or VCR at the time.
But of that sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
But for that era, you would watch things like Knight Rider, and they'd have covers of all the cool songs you want to hear. They play all the songs you want to hear. They have covers of them all.
Yeah, well, the covers cost less because then you're only paying
much less.
I mean, like if they were to release this, it wouldn't be as expensive as if they actually use the actual songs because every single one of them is covered. You'd have to pay for the mechanical rights, I think is the rate you have to pay for. Songs are covered under like 2 or 3 different licenses that you have, depending on how you're using it. is what license you have to get. You
Yeah,
know,
the next problem is the demand. Is the demand there?
yeah. Their name of their band is Trace and Gina.
Mhm.
Call yourself like the Sterlings
Or the White Stripes.
Too bad it's not Trace and Anna.
What's that?
TNA.
Oh, nice.
Oh, Trace and oh god.
But did you catch them playing, old punk kind of sounding stuff with a girl on the drums and the guy on the guitar by themselves? It's the White Stripes. They're brother and sister. Well, supposedly.
Yeah. But the White Stripe wasn't a thing yet, so they weren't gonna go and like rip that off.
I know, but isn't that just hilarious?
Would it be funny if he went out there and just started going dun, 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 dun. Well, anyways, that is the 4th episode. If anybody else has anything to add, do it now or forever hold your peace.
Nope.
I'm really at the end of it now. I've been watching this the entire time. Kroll just showed up at the concert. All right, you guys done? Are we done?
Done.
Okay, who gets the last word?
Matt does.
My word.